Great. Super.
All
Okay,
right.
so let's see.
Today, it's our great pleasure to have in the TC Dojo Max Hoffman from Adobe. Max is amazing. He's been in the tech com industry for a long time and has done nearly everything and worked with customers in every industry. He was at Frame Technology before they were part of Adobe. He was part of Interleaf. He's been a tech com evangelist for Adobe for the last 4 years. If there's anyone who's got knowledge to share, it's Max. It's been my pleasure to have known Max for several years, and each and every time I speak with him, I learn something new that I want to share with other people. In fact, I learned just last week he's known in certain localization circles as an expert on right to left languages. Max has a lot to cover, so feel free to type in your questions as we go. Max, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right, I'm going to switch control to you, and then it's all yours.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it.
Share your
Okay, so
screen.
I guess I'm going to click Show My Screen. Okay, and let me know if you can see my
Looks good.
screen. Okay, terrific. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to start out here, which is I'm going to thank you, folks. I'm going to very quickly whirl through some slides. I have a 1958 West German kitchen timer that's going to go off at 25 minutes to give me my 5-minute warning. And so you'll hear a loud ring that'll be my speed up time. Okay, so just to run through this, okay, this is not the title of our session. I forgot to change it. Instead of discovering the unexpected today, we're going to be focusing on new enhancements to XML editing in FrameMaker. And let me go ahead and move on. Just a word about myself. I don't really need to introduce myself, but my title is Product Evangelist. I've been this for almost 4 years with Adobe. This bullet just mentions different ways that I communicate with people. There'll be a couple of links at the end. And by the way, we do have a PDF file that you can download from the download pod that has my slides, including some hyperlinks. And the hyperlinks will take you to the calendar, webinars, resources, etc. As Liz mentioned, I was in the translation industry for over 12 years before I joined Adobe. Previous to that, I worked for a couple of software vendors. The translation industry thing, the main thing that mattered there was that I had to work with everything, not just FrameMaker. So I worked with almost all competitor products. That was actually about 3 years ago. 25 years of experience with Frame, maybe it's 26, and about 15 years XML production. Here's my Twitter handle if you want to follow it. It's Adobe Tweets by day and Cool Things from Portland, Oregon at night. Okay, and just in the future, when you're looking at the YouTube, you can freeze this screen and read everything on it. That tells you all about FrameMaker. This is a new release. It's called 2015 release, so it's Adobe FrameMaker 2015 release. And this method of having years is new to our product line. We're doing this for all products, not just for Adobe. This product is brand new. In fact, today being August 3rd, this product is 2 months old. It was released on June 2nd of this year. So this is a new release with a lot of new things. So even if you're familiar with FrameMaker or perhaps you started to use the new version, you will see some things that may be new to you. So here's what I'm going to be covering today. I'm going to go through this real quickly, and these slides are really more for your reference to go back to in the recording. We're going to be covering some of the reasons we consider it best-in-class XML authoring, and it's now simplified. What does that mean? Well, previously, this was the only way that you could really edit XML in FrameMaker. It was similar to other XML editors in that you had a structure view that would show you kind of like an X-ray of your document. On an element level, you had elements to choose from at your insertion point. And then unlike most products, and FrameMaker is still about the only product that has this, you had an optional, very popular, frequently used, but an optional ability to see exactly what your PDF or print or PDF output will look for pixel by pixel. This has occasionally been controversial. There's a small group of people out there, and they sort of make me think of the substitute teacher that insisted that you do sentence diagramming all the time. Yes, it's helpful to know, but we don't live our lives that way. Some people feel that you should not see any kind of format output during your authoring process, because you can go to 5 or 7 different things. Personally, I don't feel that's true because while I'm authoring, I like to know how much content I'm creating. I like to know if I've created the equivalent to a page full of text with no tables, etc. So this can be useful. Now, we have before had an authoring mode where things were simplified and basically headers and footers went away. This is a conceptual diagram of what's new. We're going to be showing you the simplified XML authoring environment, and it's kind of a fill in the forms interface. The key thing here is that you don't see any codes or any tags at all. So not theoretically, but practically, we've proven this. You could actually take somebody during flu season, you could run across the building and go to another cubicle, and you could take anybody who types And with probably 45 minutes instruction, you could teach them enough to create a lot of DITA topics and just stay busy for like 6 hours with no supervision. I'll be demonstrating that to you today. Now, the person may not know exactly what they're doing. In fact, they might not even know they're creating DITA, but it is now possible to do that. DITA is the Darwin Information Typing Architecture, which is a more or less standard collection of elements that will create structure for your documents. This, you can create your own simplified XML environment. And it's possible to go ahead and modify these forms. You can have what's called freeform authoring. Freeform authoring would let you do things like down here where it says body. You can, down here, and I have to use the marker because this is so much fun. Down in this area here where I'm putting the yellow and all the checks, this would be somewhat freeform in that you have a lot of choices to create. Okay, then beyond that, go ahead and move. Go ahead and go back to my regular pointer here. There. Okay, so then you also can create guided authoring. And guided authoring would be where you'd have a series of fields to fill in. So for instance, in this type of a form user interface for your DITA, somebody would be required to create 3 sections, you know, because sometimes people do have that type of content where you must have a certain number of items in a list, etc. This is just another illustration of it. This is an actual screen capture of exactly what it looks like on the screen. So one more time to go here to the highlighter pen. Everywhere that I'm running the highlighter is where you're filling in the text, like right here. And then everything else is a label. These labels can be, this is also fill in. The labels can actually be customized. So you can actually have it say something other than procedure title. You know, you could put essential ingredients or something like that. You're also going to see that when we go to the authoring mode, that the menu bar will collapse down and become much simpler. And there's something called the Quick Element Toolbar that we've had around for quite a while, and it's been expanded. It has some additional elements or things that you can create, and this will actually change itself depending upon what DITA type you're working in. So you'll find that if you're working in a DITA concept or DITA reference, for instance, the part of the toolbar that would allow you to create a section will go away because it's not legal to create one in that type of a document. Here's a close-up of the quick element insertion toolbar. So basically what this is these are your more common, we would normally call them elements, but these are your more common document chunks that you would create in DITA. You know, number, and basically going from left to right, number to bulleted lists, images, tables, sections, etc. One thing that's also really neat that you'll see in this authoring process is that very common some common keyboard shortcuts that people are used to doing in Microsoft Word. For instance, Control B for bold, Control I for italic, Control U for underline will automatically map themselves to the appropriate XML element. So you can actually author a little bit more freely. So these are out of the box. Now everything up to this point is for free. No plugins, no additional things to buy. It's there in the box. You don't have to do anything to make it happen. Down at the bottom where it talks about BYOT, build your own toolbar, it is actually possible to go ahead and map these icons to something different. Some people are doing a custom application or something really advanced. They really don't need, hitting the return key will give you a paragraph in most cases. So some people might want to map the P to something a little more sophisticated. Okay, and then this is just a very quick overview of what the benefits are. They're actually pretty self-evident, but the main thing is that working with lists are very easy. This is all going to matter to you when you see the demo. So I really, again, once you're in YouTube or watching this, back up and review this after the demo. It's just for your reference. We do want to emphasize that this is not a panacea, and let me briefly mute myself for a cough. Thank you. We've had a heat wave here in Portland, Oregon that just ended, so everybody's had frogs in their throat. Hopefully they'll go away soon. Anyway, this is not meant for somebody who wants to have a total Microsoft Word-like authoring experience where everything is free form, because you are working with XML and DITA, which is constrained by rules. It's also not meant for, I guess actually there's a pointer in here, isn't there? Pen, here it is, spotlight. Okay, so put a spotlight here, see the spotlight. Okay, so it's not for free form unstructured document. That would be like a FrameMaker a full FrameMaker license will allow you to create very potently format structured documents that have no XML or no DITA whatsoever. That's a different way to create a document. However, with full FrameMaker, which we're using today, you can create pure XML and pure DITA with no filtering and no save as. And that's still a new idea to people, even though we've been able to do that for quite some time. You've got, you do have, it's not for somebody who wants total, complete power and control over all XML elements and structures. So an example for those of you who are already familiar with XML or DITA, when we're in this simplified authoring mode, there's no facility for populating attributes. Attributes could do things like indicate a language, you know, a category like a product line or something like that, that you would have to do out of the authoring mode. And it will also not let you work with all DITA elements. Okay, so let me go back to the normal pointer. There we go. And we're just about through these. Okay, we do have some enhancements to XML authoring itself, and I'm going to be showing those to you. The key enhancements are that the structure view has been improved, where you've got like a nice dark node showing you where it's changed. You're going to find out the drag and drop is really improved. One thing I can do is I can actually drag and drop into a collapsed element. So if an example would be, going back to our little pointer here, if I took this this unordered list, bulleted list, if I collapsed it so it was not possible to see these three sub-elements, if that was collapsed, if I had a list item to drag down there, it would uncollapse itself and show me the legal places to do what I need to do. And that's really cool and quite a time saver. You can also locate your element more easily in what we call the structure view, and then this is where we get into that sentence diagram language about parental-child relationships and you know, expanding and collapsing child and siblings. This sometimes sounds odd to you if you're new to XML, but you can now expand and collapse child or siblings means things like all the rows in the table that you're in because they're at the same level, like brothers and sisters. Those can be expanded and collapsed more logically. Now, the one thing that does cost a little bit of money if you want to activate it is FrameMaker comes with a 30-day trial of Design Science's MathML. This is a method for creating math equations with standard MathML code very easily. This has really been improved in a number of ways. I think it costs $99. I want to say it's around $100 to activate the license. Anyway, it's very easy to create equations. FrameMaker's had an old proprietary equation editor has been around for years. That's still there. One thing that's new is, going quickly down here to our pointers, is that you now have the ability to pick up paragraph properties. So in other words, you can actually have your equation automatically change to the color of the paragraph if it's red or blue. Also, when you publish, it will go to high-quality searchable vector EPS. It used to go to sort of a bitmap PNG style format in old FrameMaker 12. So what's neat about this is the fact that the published output becomes vector graphics. It means that the readable text within your equation can be searched. So somebody could search for E equals MC squared or whatever. Actually, I need to go ahead and get rid of that. I'm having too much fun with those pointers. Some improvements to DITA XML support. I probably won't have time to physically show this, but there are some enhancements. One of them is, this, by the way, is a specific video that you can go to that actually shows these enhancements. And we have partial DITA 1.3 support. So we've actually added new topic troubleshooting topic types. There's support for learning object maps. There's a whole basically learning mode in DITA 1.3, which we've added. We've improved the ability to preview what's called a DITA map, where it looks kind of like a book and you can actually see the content of each portion of your DITA map. DITA map is like the DITA version of a book. You can now use what's called DITA val-based filtering. Very much the way people have used conditional text control before to hide and show portions of books or content. You can now do this more easily within XML or DITA, including DITA Open Toolkit. FMXA down there at the bottom, that stands for FrameMaker XML Author, which is the less expensive version of FrameMaker that only works with XML. Looking at the clock here, got to move. And you have the ability to scale and align attributes. Okay, let's move on because we're just about here to the end. Just a little bit about DITA 1.3 support. What's new is when you go to decide to use when you choose which version of DITA you're going to use, you can choose 1.3. And when you do this, new things will become available. So in addition to creating topics or tasks, there'll be a new item, for instance, like a new troubleshooting DITA type document. And other things will happen. You can create things like a change history list, which was not available before because that's part of DITA 1.3. Also, if you choose the DITA 1.3 learning application, that will allow you to create all of the items that you see here, you know, like a new learning content, a new learning overview, and a new learning plan. More of that available in a video that we'll point you to in a few moments. There have been some user interface enhancements. Basically, the pods work better. You can resize some of your menus now. You'll see a little bit of this as I go through the demonstration. Smart filter means that if I was looking at conditions, and let's say I had a whole bunch of conditions that had the word product in them, I could just type in the word product up here where it says search text. I'm talking about here, like right up here. If I typed in the word product, it would make all of the conditions disappear from the list except the ones that have product as part of the name. Condition behavior is easier because it's with a checkbox, and the pods have been redesigned with better color, etc. I'm going to pause here where we have these resources. We'll come back to this after we do our demonstration. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this and go right back into FrameMaker itself. Okay, so I'm in FrameMaker, and I have magically and mysteriously created a DITA topic. You might wonder how that happened, so let's go ahead and do it from scratch. Many people have seen this type of demo before. When you're running FrameMaker and you've got, the critical thing is this, if you're doing FrameMaker for the first time, some people don't know how to get the structured user interface. So on the general level here, there are 3 user interfaces available. Traditional FrameMaker only, that means no DITA, no XML. If you choose structured FrameMaker, then you can do either unstructured or XML. And you can also make it emulate the FrameMaker XML author product, which is limited and will only let you author and edit XML, and you cannot do templates or any of the files that support it in the background. That would really be more for somebody who's supporting a group of people using the less expensive product. So you do have to make that choice. Now, well, something new has been added that we're going to use in a moment. And notice when I do edit preferences, there's a category that was never here before for you FrameMaker experts. And that's called simplified XML. And you have to turn this on to have the magic happen that you're going to see in a few moments. So I don't have it turned on right now. So when I go to DITA, new, and I go ahead and create topic, which is one of the more common things that you can do. As we go to our traditional user interface, which we'll see here in a moment, here we are with the structure view, and here we are with the elements. Okay, so one thing that's changed is that now wherever I select my cursor, you can see it turning dark over here, which is really cool. Okay, and we've always been able to do things like, for instance, with our quick element toolbar, we go up here to View, Toolbar, and we turn on the Quick Element Toolbar, which is now on. Even in just regular mode, we've always been able to do things like create a list. And if I were to turn on my tags, with a little bit of effort, I could go in here and find an insertion point, hit return, go ahead and make this item 2, go ahead and hit return, and make another one. So it wasn't that bad, but as you can see, there's quite a bit of complexity. In fact, there's a problem here that I did not insert this at the correct location. This actually should probably be up here. There we go. Okay, now I've got a paragraph I don't want. I'm going to delete it. Perfect. Now I've got magic, wonderful stuff. Now, previously, if you wanted to go to what was called author mode, you went over to this little mode here that looks like a pencil, and this is what author mode looked like. The only difference was that it's simpler. Notice that there's no headers and no footers. Everything's kind of generic. You can still turn your tags on, to help find your location, and you can also still use your quick element toolbar. So if you turn the quick element toolbar on over here, we could basically do some of the same things. I could actually go over here and decide that inside of here I'd like to create a another numbered list, and you can see that with that little insertion and click, I'm now getting an indented list. Okay, now enough of that. Let's go back to the easy way and find out how we can improve this process. So I'm going to go ahead and close this file and very swiftly go back to Edit Preferences, which I showed you moments ago. Go into Simplified XML, and I'm going to turn this on. Now, I'll have to restart FrameMaker for you to see the magic. And one of the choices down here, it says you can ask for an alert before inserting at the next valid location. And you can also choose to do or do not insert at the next valid location. What on earth does that mean? Well, I'm going to ask for the alert. What that means is if I'm not quite up to speed on DITA, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, if I go ahead and try to insert a section where it's illegal, it'll pop up and say, would you like me to put the section in the next place that it's possible to have one? And I can say yes, and it will go ahead and do that. So that's the behavior that I'm asking for. And you'll see that in just a matter of moments. That little flashy warning said, hey, if you want all this stuff, you got to restart FrameMaker. So we have to go ahead and close it, and we have to go ahead and restart it. Fortunately, it's faster than it used to be. So here you can see those of you who haven't seen it, we have a nice dark chocolate brown for FrameMaker 2000. 15, so it does indeed look a little bit different. Also, some people don't bother to explore the nifty resources down here. I encourage you to do that. Okay, let's go back and repeat what I did earlier. I'm going to go into new topic. So it's practically the same as it was before. Almost the same. Well, actually it is the same, really. Now, here's the difference. Remember earlier that I went to that authoring mode and it just kind of looked like some plain text, without the headers and footers. Now it's going to look really different. Now when I go to authoring mode, you can see it's really changed quite a bit because we don't even have a structure view. Also notice that I have far fewer menus to choose from, and notice that one of the things missing is I have no means of turning tags on or off. They don't even exist. So I need a title here. So I'm going to say that Liz Fraley is a TechCom goddess. I'm doing this so I'll get invited back. That's what she'll invite me back. Yeah, I'm sure that would happen even without doing that. Okay, I'm going to put my name in here. So this is prompting me. In other words, I can't type into these little label thingies here. Or actually see how intelligent I am. This should not go there. So I'm going to go here for the short description. I'll just say how to get invited back. Okay, and then down here, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and actually just paste that in. That's got my name in it. So now down here where it says enter the content of your topic, this is where it gets pretty freeform because within a topic you can have topics inside of topics and you can just do all sorts of things. So the first thing I'd like to do is I'm going to go ahead and just make some normal text. This is supposed to be just a paragraph. And I just want enough text that's going to look interesting when we get back into what I think of as the preview. Now hitting return automatically gives me another paragraph. Hitting return gives me another paragraph. Now if we were to go back over to what we call our WYSIWYG view, you'll see that, okay, I've created some content and you can see that there's some relatively simple structure over here in our structure view. Let's go back into the authoring mode and do something more interesting. Okay, so at this point I'd like to create a numbered list within a numbered list. Now this is where it really gets fun. So I'm going to make this item 1, return, and I just type in item 2. Now earlier I had to move my cursor before I could make an item 3. Now let's say that I want this to become a sub list. This would be a point where I would normally go up and try to create another list in a list. All I have to do is hit the tab key and hey, it's an alpha, it's a beta, return. You can never type when you're in front of real people. It's a theta. I don't know what the C is in Greek. And now if I hold the shift key and hit tab, it indents back. And now we're back to item 3. Okay, so that's pretty nifty. And if we were to go back over to our WYSIWYG view where I've got that structure view available, here you can see it's really done a whole lot. It's actually created the list, and it's also made a list within a list. And the way that I got this thing here called OL for another ordered list, that happened just by hitting the tab key. And down below here where it went back to a regular list, that happened by hitting Shift Tab. So when you think about it, this is really pretty cool because this much is happening out of the box with no programming, no configuration. And so I think you could see that if something happened like, let's say that El Nino hits California, hopefully in a gentle way. But let's say that there were some torrential rains in the Bay Area and you had 20 people who couldn't make it to work as the Lawrence Expressway floods or something. Okay, well, so if you were stuck at work with only 8 people and you had 3 people who'd never seen FrameMaker in their lives, you could set them into this authoring mode, and probably with about 20 minutes training, you could teach them enough to fill stuff like this in. And the only thing they're supposed to do is to make 2 lists within a list or something like that. So it's that simple. Now down here, this is where it really gets cool. I'm going to go ahead and deliberately do something illegal and have FrameMaker stop me. So at this point, first of all, I'll do something legal. I'd like to create a table, and I'm going to make a very simple one, and it just pops one in. Okay, and not being real crazy about that, I'm just guessing at the width and everything, but I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit smaller, and I can put things inside of tables. So we can go ahead and put, once again, 1, type over 2, 3. Let's say here I wanted to have an image inside of the table. I could go ahead and do that if I wanted to, and I could go ahead and browse for one. Real swiftly, we could actually do something similar to this before, it just took more work. And I'm going to go into my famous miscellaneous one, and not out of sentimentality, but I always use my grandmother's picture because if I bring it in at a certain, like maybe about 150 DPI, usually it comes in at a decent size. Okay, and this will be my last row, and they'll say, hey, what the, okay, so let's say that right here I'm not a real guru at DITA yet, and I don't know any better, and I know that I want to have another section because I'm inside of something called a section. So I could come up here and ask for a section. Ta-da! Here's that alert thing. Remember when I turned on the user interface, I said I had the option to get alerts. Maybe a little hard to read this, but this said the selected object, which is the section, is not valid at the current location. Click OK to insert it at the next valid location. Yes. And whoopee wowee, look at that. It actually made a new section right down here. So here's a new section, you know, and literally I can go ahead and click here and say, you know, hey, I'm all powerful and cannot make mistakes. Land, not make mistakes. Don't push. I obviously will not do proofreading for a living. And then again, we could just repeat the same thing. We could go into bulleted lists, you know, 1, 2, tab over, 3, get a dash list, dash again. And if I go shift tab back to normal, more than before, you can do it too. Okay, so as you can see, quite a bit got created pretty swiftly. Let's go back one more time over here and see what happened. Now, what happened was some of this had to go to the next page. There we go. I just have a bad break there. But look at what happened over here. If we go over here and just reduce the size a little bit, there's a lot of structure in here because amongst other things, we actually have a table. You know, here's a table with it, and there's an image in there where I brought my grandmother in. Look, I've got her selected, and I've got all these rows and just all these nifty things happening all over the place. Now, one of the things I mentioned earlier was this. I said, if you have elements that you have collapsed, first of all, one thing I can do that's neat is I can actually hold down Shift and I can collapse my rows like that, and then there they go. Okay, now down here, I'm gonna take this list up here. You see how it's ABC? And I'm going to collapse it, okay? Now, I happen to have a list item down here, you know, because we have multiple list items down here. And I'm going to go down to this one, this list item, and I'd like this list item to move all the way up here to that collapsed area. So this is what I was talking about where it's really improved how much more logical it is. First of all, anywhere it's legal to insert, for years we've had this ability where the checkbox appears, but watch what happens when I go to the collapsed element. It actually uncollapses it, and hey, I can actually take this thing that used to be a 3 dash and stick it there. And it says 3. That used to be one of my dashed items down here. See how there's only one now? And see how we have another one here? So once again, I think you can see that this is not rocket science. We're not looking at 6 days of training to get through what a DTD is, to understand XML, to look at codes all the time. Now, if you like that traditional interface, which some people do, there it is. You can go back and have those codes in front of you all the time, and you can go ahead and do this whole thing from scratch. There's a third way to work with XML because it is real pure XML and DITA, and that is, let's make it a little bigger to see it. It's called XML Code View. And this is showing you the actual XML that has been created. This is an actual XML file. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and save this file. Let me get it back over here. And we're just about to the end of the demo. You'll be happy to know. So I have to save this somewhere. I'm going to go to my desktop, and I created a link to our 2015 Dojo right here. And I'll call this the Liz topic. There we go. Okay, and the last thing that I wanted to show you, which I'm going to kind of end the demo with this, all those other things I can do. Here, once again, here's a reminder of that. Remember that I could put topic, topic is one of the things I could do in there. Okay, so I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to create a different DITA type real quickly. And this time I'm going to create a concept. And I hope I picked the right one. I think I did. Okay, a concept has different structure than a topic does. Go in here, and let's say that I'm in here, and this is very restrictive. It says I can create one paragraph. Okay, one paragraph. Now, if it's flu season and I'm one of those guys that you grabbed out of a cubicle, I could say, gee, I want to create a section, and I go up here and there isn't one. There's no section icon because sections are not legal within concepts. You know, you can't have one. So this thing automatically changes itself to match what you're working with. If I went back over here to the topic, to the magic land of Liz, notice that I do have sections available. So I could create another section if I wanted to. And then once again, if I was in the wrong location, it's going to say, we'll go to the next spot, you can do it. And it dropped in front of the other one, and this is now second section. And we'll just say you can do it too. Okay, so once again, absolutely every single thing that you have seen is out of the box. So these are the, there is far more to it than this. We've added a lot more power than what I'm showing you, but the main thing you can see is that the user interface has become much more logical and much more sensible, and when things are collapsed like this, we can drag into them. It's easier to find things, etc. So that I just wanted to share this much with you just to give you a quick idea that it's really, really cool that you can do this. Final thing is this. I'm in the middle of all this DITA and all this XML stuff. Let's say somebody runs down the hall and they want me to create a meeting agenda or something like that, and I don't have time to work with XML. I can go in here to my regular documents, and I could decide that I want to create something that looks like a chapter, and I don't want any structure. I want to get away from that. Hey, there's no structure. So I simply go back to my regular authoring workspace, and now we're in the land of paragraph tags, etc. So here we've got paragraph tags. So if I want to go ahead and take this guy and change it to a note or something, and I actually have to drag that little doodad out of the way. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and change this to a note like that. Okay, or I might want it to be a note tip. It will jump out to the side, or I could go ahead and change this back to a body begin. Okay, so that's showing you that FrameMaker will let you have it both ways. It's possible to still go ahead and create a short temporary document that doesn't have any structure, or you can go back into the world of structure, as I'm doing here, and work with that. Now I mentioned we have a second version of the product called FrameMaker XML Author. FrameMaker XML Author will let you only do this. I can't go over there and start making stuff out of paragraphs, etc. So with that, that's about as much time as we have. I see that my bell is about to go off, so I'm going to go back to the slides so I can wrap it up as soon as I find them. Here they are. Okay, let's go ahead and fill up the screen with these. And once again, these handouts are available to you as a PDF file that you can download. I don't know if that'll work at YouTube, but you can say there goes the bell. So here's some further resources that will be useful to you. One of them is the home page. If I click on this, if you click on this in your PDF file, this will actually take you over to the FrameMaker homepage. There's a nifty, cool video that you can watch that will show you all about Arabic and doing stuff here. This is one of the new things as we do Arabic bidirectional publishing. You can do that in XML and DITA as well. And then there's some really neat, useful resources down here at the bottom where you get information on subscriptions. You can go ahead and choose features. One of my favorite things now is that down at the bottom you can request a demo. So after you've explored our mini videos and things I'm going to show you in a moment, you might think that you're ready for a private demo. You can do that because it's that easy to do. Other things here are videos of new features. If you click on this, this will actually bring up a list of little TV shows that you can watch of what's new, and one of them in here is DITA 1.3. The Getting Started Guide I won't show you, and the user manual. Okay. Time for questions and answers, and I'll close with this. Here is our contact information. I have to make a quick disclaimer. Normally, I would encourage you to send me email anytime you want, and all I have to do is get Citrix on the screen here. Excuse me, I need those drawing tools. So let me go back over here to the highlighter pan. There we go. So normally I would say, I would tell you to go ahead and, use this email over here that's turning yellow. I'm actually going to be off duty tomorrow, Tuesday, August 4th through Monday, August 17th. I'm having surgery on my hand that's going to require me to be in bed with my arm propped up in a cast for 2 weeks, and I will have no electronic communications of any kind. That means no Facebook, no Twitter, no email, no nothing. I'm not even going to use my iPhone. Hard for people to believe, but hey, it really is true. So we want you to use this email instead. In fact, if anybody ever needs to contact me, it's probably a good idea just to CC techcom@adobe.com, because that goes to a group of 5 people and someone will definitely get back to you. These are a couple of important links that you're going to want to bookmark, and one of them will take you to our calendar of upcoming events. I'm going to be adding 5 today that will take you through the month of September, and we also have all of our recorded webinars more or less in reverse chronological order. So I can go ahead and erase those, get rid of those drawings, and make this go back to normal. And now, Liz, I think we're ready for any closing questions.
All right, let me switch back real quick. Thank you, Max. That was awesome. I'm not sure what I think about Lizland, but that's,
just me. I'm all in favor. We can crowdsource it.
So there's 2 things to do while you type in your questions. That's what we're at. First is to check out the GoToMeeting panel. You can't see it, so I took a picture and put it in Paint. Down here in the panel, there's a handout section. You can get the slides from Max. We're trying this out, see how it works. So download that now. And while you're doing that, also typing in your questions, here's what's coming up. First, the next TC Dojo Mastermind session is coming up on August 18th. This is your board of directors, your own group, like your DITA or XML or whatever support group, TechCom support group. It's been really interesting and fun, and this is the chance for you to talk about your real life issues with other people who've solved them or are solving them. It's self-correcting, and the topics are run by the people who attend. It's really kind of interesting. I pushed that the wrong way. In the next dojo, Max will be back after his surgery. He's going to talk about RoboHelp 2015. So anybody who hasn't seen that or hasn't seen it recently, it's going to be really fun and interesting and totally different from what we did today. All the HTML5 stuff is huge. If you want to keep an eye out for what's coming up in the TC Dojo, you just go to tcdojo.org, and all the sessions are listed there, at least all the ones that we've got coming up. Also, from this page, there's a link for you to tell us what you want to learn. Why should we tell you? You should tell us. We'll go find experts to teach it once we know what you're interested in. All right, Max, we have a question.
Great, terrific.
Is there an easy way to migrate non-structured FrameMaker files to DITA? Ooh,
the answer is yes, and also to be fair and to try to be vendor agnostic. It's what I would say is this: how easy it is going to be relative to how consistent your original content is. So the most common thing, of course, is Microsoft Word. That's what most people author in. If you're relatively consistent in the use of paragraph tags, things like heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, if you have consistently created your bulleted or numbered list the same way, it's not too hard to set up some sort of mapping to make that occur. FrameMaker has a really good facility for this in that there's actually a conversion utility that will read in something like a Word file. It will automatically generate a mapping table for you. And the mapping table will give you the name of the paragraph or the style in Word, and then it will give you it'll automatically pick a logical element to map it to. And then you can do some further tweaking to it where you can actually say, I want this element, let's say it's a list, to be wrapped in something else. We actually have several recorded webinars on how to do this, and we also have got some blogs about that as well. I'll probably be, by the way, if you go to our calendar, which was on that link that we saw earlier, you can always back up on the recording. We have Tom Aldous joining us from the content era, and I believe he's going to be covering this to some degree in the first of 2 webinars he's doing the first week of September. I think he's going to be presenting on September 1st and September 3rd. So I'd recommend showing up for that as a good way to get a handle on that.
Excellent. Yeah, that's never an easy prospect, but anything that helps for sure. All right, so I was really cool to see that the form-based authoring or guided authoring that you're talking about that and changing that, because that's a concept I've been hearing a lot the last bunch of years. We even had it as a TC camp session a couple of years ago.
Yep. And by the way, just to add something to this, this is nothing I don't think specific to FrameMaker, but I think most of you can see it's not terribly threatening. And what I'm excited about is for the last 5 years, I don't know, if I had $1 for every time I've heard a conference presentation called Overcoming the Fear Factor with DITA. It's like one of those reality shows where they put you in a Shark Tank or something like that. And there are a lot of people who are afraid of DITA because when you first look at all these tags and you look at something like the structure view of a table and it looks like, a skeleton that goes on for 5 miles, it can look intimidating because there is an enforced structure you have to follow. And I think you can see that with that forms-based method, that's about the least, we really have pretty much hidden the structure from you. And we've also deliberately limited your choices. There's just only so many things that you can do. So it's a really good solution. It's also, by the way, a really good way to get started in DITA. If you want to kind of just get used to it and create some results, let's say that you're going to create regular FrameMaker documents for another year, go ahead and experiment with that and create a few DITA files and publish them. You can do cool things.
We should do that session actually, because you're right, people fear DITA. Usually the learning is threefold, right? You're learning topic-based authoring, you're learning tags, and you're learning a tool. Reducing that to 2 factors is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I would be happy to do that topic. One thing I would like to throw some advice out about overcoming the fear factor. Um, and I have to say this carefully so I'm not insulting any of my esteemed colleagues in the industry. However, there's a handful of people running around out there who will get almost cult-like, or I don't like to use the word religious in a negative way, but it almost becomes a religion with them that you must author everything in text mode, seeing your tags, and that whatever you do, you have to have the structure in front of you, like that's the way to do it. And the answer is no, no, no. And the why? Our human brains don't work this way. In fact, many of us, regardless of what tool you're creating, a lot of us actually kind of storyboard visually before we even begin writing. I used to be a graphic artist decades ago. I will still take out a manila folder with some post-it stickers and make like little Hello Kitty type cartoons for the concepts that I'm going to do. I do the whole thing like hieroglyphics as images. And the reason I do that, that completely frees up my mind where I'm not tied up with the text or structure or anything else. And I find that then I can go into XML and author it. So it doesn't matter if you do it with a ballpoint pen, a typewriter, or just plain Microsoft Word. You can start a simple rough draft, and then you can swiftly convert that into some simple DITA and then move forward from that point. So the only thing I want to say is when you do migrate into XML and DITA, don't let it become a trap or a set of handcuffs. You can still do creative things to get your brain moving before you create your content.
Awesome. Thank you, Max. All right, folks. So don't forget to sign up next month after the surgery's all done. We're going to do RoboHub 2015, and I really am trying to get Kevin Siegel to do one on Captivate because that's what I've been playing recently. And sign up for the TC Dojo. Let us know what you want to learn. Max,
Great.
thank you so much. Good luck, and we'll see you in September.
Thank you, and I'm going to think of all of you while I'm completely off the grid with no email, and I'm reading paperbacks, and I have a Kindle. I can use one finger. Summer reading advice. If anybody wants a book that will totally captivate you and you're reading the Godiva chocolate-rich literature, I recommend All the Light You Cannot See. All the Light We Cannot See.
All
All
right.
the Light We Cannot See is an absolutely gorgeous book. Okay,
Thanks, folks. Bye.
bye-bye.